Friends of FTR, hello. How's it going? This is week number 5 of 6 for our 2022 Wellness Challenge. My name's Davin, bringing to you all the nutrition info, good stuff for you on this Wellness Challenge here. So week 5, we've covered a number of things, and now we're going to move into this thing called gut health. A lot of us have maybe heard of it, maybe in treatment, maybe on the internet, through friends, things like that. And it's becoming very popularized. I think it's important, though, that when we do start to think about how it can support our mental health, how it can support our overall health, or our recovery, we get an idea of what's meaningful and then what's kind of extra. So where we can really concentrate our energy, where we can invest our financials maybe. All those sort of details are important when considering maybe something new. So I'll flip it over to share the worksheet we're looking at today, and it'll give us some ideas, a lot of what is going on with the gut. So to kind of preface this, it's very interesting. When I was in school 4 years back, this was not even really discussed. It was kind of brought up as, hey, this is something kind of new going on. We don't really know a lot. But we're finding that it's important. So it's awesome if you've heard about this already. You're already a step ahead of the game. Now we're just going to take a couple more steps in that direction and learn a little bit more about our body. So to start off, the title of this is Our Gut and Its Role in Mood, Immunity, and Health. So we'll talk a little bit about the immune system, why that it's an important player here when it comes to our mental health, and how substances can kind of affect that, and potentially what else can affect those things. Okay, so to start off, I'm going to start off with a story. Way back when, before anyone who's alive now was alive, so pretty far back, we had no idea about germs, right? Germs, these little things that exist now that we all kind of know about since we're born. We didn't believe they existed at one point because we couldn't see them. So people were getting sick, food was getting contaminated, water was getting contaminated, and they had no idea why. Until a guy named Louis Pasteur came along, and pasteurization, so it's named after him, the process in which we heat milk so it kills bad bacteria, and things like that. He discovered that food was going bad and making people sick because of these things called germs. And that led to this huge wave of research and further understanding of things like bacteria, things like small organisms or small things in the world that we can't see with our eyes, but we know exist and we know has such a huge impact on the world around us. Okay, so that brings us to today. Well, we fast forwarded a little bit, but today we're now starting to understand, wow, there's all these little bacteria in the world, and better yet, there's 4 quadrillion. I don't even know how much that is. I'm not good at math, but 4 quadrillion to me is a lot, and it should be. It's more it's more than stars. More the number is more than the stars in our solar system. I've also heard that comparison, which is pretty cool. But there's 4 quadrillion bacteria in our gut, and that's a lot more than we can account for. And then we start to ask ourselves, how did all that get there, and what might influence it? Well, when we're children, or when we're born, essentially, we have 0 to none bacteria in our stomach. So based off that idea, yes, we gain these bacteria throughout our environment, the food we put in our body, the air we breathe, right? If we smoke cigarettes or things like that, that can influence it. The air quality here in Salt Lake also influences our bacteria. All the things we breathe or ingest affect those things. Furthermore, stress, our hormones, our mood, all those things we're starting to learn can change the different types of bacteria in there. And there's some good bacteria and there's some bad bacteria. The goal that we can strive for is to try to promote an environment where good bacteria can thrive. Okay, so that's through lifestyle habits, that can be through foods we eat, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so we'll start off with digestion, because this is a common thing, especially with people early in recovery who are now sober, newly sober. Their digestion starts to change. It's a big focus in how you create an environment where nutrients can be passed through your body in a timely, efficient manner that allows your body to benefit from it. So digestion is just breaking food down into smaller pieces so we can absorb them, right? Think about a big Lego statue. Your body breaks those Legos down into small little Legos that you can absorb. Super important process that can get disrupted through substance use, stress. There's a list of things. But as we start to stay sober longer, take care of our body, exercise, all those things can improve our digestion. So a couple of interesting facts. There's a couple machinery pieces within our GI tract. GI is short for gastrointestinal tract. And the GI tract runs from your mouth all the way out through the back end where you excrete the waste. Part of that entire tract or tube is it contains a small intestine. And the small intestine is 22 feet long, and its surface area, when stretched out, is the size of a tennis court, right? So super huge, and it's super valuable to absorbing nutrients, okay? The next important structure within our GI tract is our large intestine. And that's about 5 feet long, but it's where our bacteria live. It's the house, it's the mansion, it's the city, whatever you want to call it. It's where they live. So creating a good environment in our large intestine is going to be essential for gut health, okay? So why is the gut important for our immune system, right? And then why might our immune system be important to our mental health? Well, if you can see kind of in the middle of the sheet, 60 to 80% of our immune system's tissues, right? So what interacts with our environment is located in our GI tract, okay? This is how we interact with all the little microbes, the bacteria around us, how we start to gain immunity maybe as we grow up, or where we express an immune response. It's largely housed inside of us, this huge tube we have. A lot of us might think, oh, it's your nose and your mouth and your hands. Well, those might be the leading points to entering, but all of that, all these processes happen a little bit deeper inside, okay? So immune system, huge topic in the last 2 years, right, with COVID and things like that. Maintaining a good immune system is a very important thing. There's a number of factors listed there, some that we have control over, some that we don't. Some that improve our immune system or help maintain its full functioning, and some that can actually decrease it. Very clearly, we know that substance use does decrease our immune system. And gaining a healthy GI tract and gaining those positive bacteria, those good bacteria back into our gut can improve our immune system. So if we're in this process where eating can be difficult and getting the nutrients we need to support our immune system are difficult, it can be a huge priority and focus for us to get back in that direction. Okay, so what can we do from a nutrition standpoint to improve our immune system or maintain it? So this is one concept that gets often missed, and I want to be very clear about this. While it states here, while no single food can enhance your immune system, poor nutrition can have a negative effect. So for example, if we're born, we have no immunodeficiencies or no immune diseases that we're born with, we have a healthy immune system, it is functioning at 100%. There's no supplement, there's no pill, there's no one single nutrient in food that can boost your immune system that makes it better than its full capacity. The only thing that can really affect your immune system is having poor nutrition, substance use, things like that. It brings it down. The way you can improve it is through getting back to that routine of nutrition and exercise. So the word I kind of want to be nitpicky on is the word boost, because you're going to see it on a lot of supplements. You're going to see it on a lot of things that are trying to be sold to you. It is a buzzword that creates this idea that your immune system can be so good you never get sick, you never get exposed to things, and that's just not true. An example that was brought up was, during COVID, people had marketed certain supplements that, quote unquote, boost your immune system, so much so that you don't get COVID, and that is just too good to be true. So just keep in mind, with your mind and your wallet, is this trying to be sold to me? Is my immune system being supported by good nutrition, good exercise, sleep, hydration? And if so, you probably don't need those extra vitamin C packets or the zinc or magnesium and all that kind of extra stuff. So just keep that in mind when thinking about those things. There are some nutrients within food that we want to have a conversation about. First is carbohydrates. These particularly contain fibers, and fiber is something that can support our gut health. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. Second, give that a term. What are those called? What are fibers called that support our gut? The next thing here is fats. We're just going to focus here on omega-3 fatty acids. It's a type of fat that can decrease inflammation, particularly in our gut. So early in recovery, we have lots of inflammation with our gut because, right, our immune system is located in our gut. And if our immune system is functioning well because of substances, we're going to have this big response to say everything or something's going wrong, right? Obviously, and our immune system is responding to that. So our gut's not going to be healthy. Fats can help in that process of getting the nutrients absorbed, getting our immune system back to regular health in our gut. Okay, so that's the role of fats. Omega-3s are found primarily in fatty fish, mackerel, sardines, salmon is another super common one. Chia seeds, flax seeds, seaweed, all those types of foods are super high in omega-3s. So you're going to want to look to incorporate those maybe 1 to 2 times a week. If you eat fish already, awesome. If you're not a huge fan, maybe try to figure out ways to incorporate that into your nutrition. Okay, the next one here is protein. Protein's super important. Luckily, there's so much protein widely available these days. But early in recovery, we tend to see people not getting enough protein for their needs. And proteins play a key role in producing things like enzymes and hormones and neurotransmitters. All those things are important for our mood and regulating that. So important thing is protein. Skipping through fluids and vitamins and minerals, we talked about it a little bit before. This idea that our gut and our mood are super related is because of this thing called the gut-brain axis. So if you just think about it, there's your gut and there's your brain, and you can draw a straight line through those to one another. And it's like a telephone line, right? They communicate with one another and they influence one another very, very significantly. Okay. So for example, if you've ever had stress or anxiety like any other human being, right? Maybe you were in front of a bunch of people and you're really nervous. You might have felt that in your stomach, right? Little butterflies, a little nausea. That is that communication happening. It can also work the other way around. If you've ever had some sort of infection, right, where you needed to take antibiotics, that affected probably your mood state. We're starting to see, and it's listed on these bullet points here, that our gut influences our brain's communication. So things like serotonin, things like GABA, 2 neurotransmitters. Neurotransmitters is just a fancy word for things that help our brain communicate with one another effectively. Those get disrupted, right? So those get disrupted through substance use or mood disorders like depression and anxiety. And those two can be minimized, right? Those mood states can be influenced in a positive way through having a healthy gut, okay? So we're starting to learn a lot more about that. The last thing here is how to keep a healthy gut. So we've probably heard the word before, and if you watch television or on social media, you've heard this word 100 times, but maybe never really investigated what it all meant. Probiotics, right? That word comes up a lot. It's a supplement. It's found in some foods that maybe I don't like because it tastes things like that. So probiotics is a fancy name for those beneficial bacteria that we want in our gut. Okay. And there's certain foods that contain bacteria in them. Yes, food has bacteria in them, but they're good bacteria and we want to consume them so they can live in us and we can share this positive environment. Those foods that are high in probiotics are listed there as kimchi, miso, kefir, sauerkraut, yogurt, and tempeh. So a common thing with all these foods is they're all fermented, right? And some of us are like, fermented food, never had those. These are kind of out there. I would always recommend starting with one thing that you're kind of familiar with and trying to build on that. Maybe some of us grew up in households where these were very common foods. So I would encourage you to continue to eat those. The other thing in conversation here is prebiotics, okay? So we heard about probiotics, but I've never heard prebiotics. Prebiotics is food for our probiotics, okay? And those are going to be foods containing fiber, like previously mentioned. So very simply, it's going to be our fruits, our veggies, beans, whole grains. All of those are things we want to incorporate into our diet, not just because Davin said fruits and vegetables are good, but they're good for this very reason, that they help keep our bacteria alive. I used this analogy before, and some people, depending on what generation you're from, get it. It's like Tamagotchis, right? You had to feed them, otherwise they die, and you have to remember to feed them. Another one is like Pac-Man, right? Pac-Man eats those little dots. You have to feed your bacteria to let them continue to grow, right? Just flourishing a garden in our gut for positive things. So those are super awesome to have in our nutrition, and continue to increase those if we can. The other two things I want to mention here, one of them is high amounts, and again, high amounts of refined sugar or processed foods can actually disrupt the balance of our gut and cause the growth of bad bacteria, or bacteria we don't really want. So again, want to reiterate, high amounts of those foods, not just any amounts, because those foods are delicious. Those foods taste really good. They're really fun to have and share. So just keeping in mind, excessive amounts, we want to try and minimize those, and just get those amounts in the right balance. Last thing here, and one of the most important things I want to stress, none of us, or nobody, is a bucket of kimchi or a tub of yogurt away from just having great bacteria in our gut. Okay, it goes far beyond that. In the beginning of this video, we talked about environment, right? The air we breathe, the environment we're in, right? So do we exercise, things like that. Stress tends to be one of the biggest things that influence our digestion, our mood, obviously, and our gut health. Okay, so practicing different things of mindfulness, such as yoga, meditation, going on a hike, any sort of stress relief, is going to be super beneficial to creating an environment where good bacteria can flourish. Okay, so just some tidbits here. Again, I want to emphasize that if we are at a point in our nutrition, right? So maybe the earlier videos are where we're at, and this is kind of, whoa, this is a lot of things coming at me. Figuring out where I'm at with my nutrition and what step I might be on. And no step is better than one another, but thinking about sustainable practices, right? If eating breakfast every morning, man, that was a goal I want to start to instill into my healthy routines. Let's stay there. Let's continue to do this. And we can add all this gut health down the road when it becomes more pertinent. But just keeping in mind, hey, where am I at? What do I need help on? Do I reach out to Davin? Do I have conversations with people in the community about how I can improve this? All these things are healthy steps to reaching our ultimate goals. Okay. I'm really passionate about this topic. So if you want to chat more about it, or want to start to see these things come out in our kitchen, feel free to let us know. And we hope to see you next week. Next week is going to be intuitive eating. I really look forward to this one. It's not new by any means, but it's something that I think a lot of people wish they were exposed to earlier, because even if you don't practice it as a whole, there's certainly steps within it, or ideas within it, that can help you have more peace and fulfillment with food. Okay, awesome. Love you guys. Always love to see you and chat with you. So till next time, bye.